Welcome to Weeaboo Hell, Kai.
Season the second barrage slash raid slash
I think this is Weeaboo Hell Fumofu.
Weeaboo Hell with two explanation points instead of just the one explanation point.
Weeaboo Hell Unlimited Venom Works.
Weeaboo Hell Anania.
Oh man, fucking Netflix.
Give to the world, really.
I think at this point, Netflix, it's like a Rob Ford thing. It's like a rich crackhead.
Yeah, no, I would not necessarily disagree with that. I just often he said entertaining things, I think.
Often he said entertaining things. I guess that's all it takes to become a fucking mayor of Toronto or other political positions of relevance at the time.
At that time.
At that time. Current guy's actually kind of relatively sober. A lot of book club people in the primary land.
Okay.
Except strokey Uncle Joe.
Y'all are in for a treat because we're starting out season 2 with a gimmick episode. Get hype.
Get hype. Oh, you thought you were getting a fresh review. Well,
Nope. We're digging shit back up because we're doing top and then bottom 5 of the last decade. Having ended the decade. Because that's what people are doing when their shows. They're doing a top. And
they're doing top
and
number list, bottom list. If I wasn't afraid of him finding me, I would have totally ripped off the best, worst, blandest thing that Mr. Crossaw does. He really still makes me smile. Antics. Antics.
Oh yeah, I will occasionally come back to him and always be pleased that he still has it.
It gives me hope for myself because I want to be doing things into my dotage long after I've said a number of things that should get me canceled. We probably should be canceled for I think it was the World War II Plane Girls episode. Sorry, Ship Girls. Let's not get this confused with Girly Air Force.
I think they should be canceled, but that's just my opinion. It's none of my business.
I mean, given the parallel cultural ebbs and flows, I guess Japan will have a retro canceling phase in about 7 years.
That's gonna be weird.
Oh, yeah. Some people are not gonna be able to go outside.
Or they're just gonna continue to not have that.
It's very possible.
Into the next century. It'll just continue to be Japan.
Bravely
staying where they've always...
I think that as good, humane people, we should do the best countdown first.
We could do that, or we could do the worst countdown first. So, once we exhaust all of our bands, if anyone wants to turn it off, they can. Because there's going to be a whole lot of gushing in the latter half of this episode, which is sometimes interesting, but often not. I have an honest appraisal of how interesting my gushing is, and sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not.
I have a honest appraisal of my gushing too, and I'm gonna do the heel thing. He's
gonna
thing
do the ego game.
Is great. It's great. Welcome to Weeaboo Hell, Kai.
Oh shit, he did it. He did the same thing he's always been doing.
That's right, people. Dale 316.
This season's gonna be different. We're not gonna get stale. We're gonna change things up. It was hard coming up with this one. I was going through the Wikipedia pages of every single anime that's aired over the last 10 years. Just writing down the ones that I remember being really, really fucking noxious. And I think I've been using that word a lot tonight. I feel as though I'm probably going to use it a lot going forward tonight. The word noxious.
Season 2 is noxious.
It's super noxious. I think we sort of ended up coming at our list with different ethoses. Ethi? I don't know what the plural ethos is.
Oh yeah, I definitely went more with what it meant to me and what I could remember of my resonance with it, as opposed to, I don't know, I wouldn't call it an objective list. If I was the kind of person that scored things, these wouldn't necessarily be my 5 lowest scores possible. Honestly, if I could go through honorable mentions, for example, I don't even have a shade of handshakers on this thing, and you just literally cannot look at handshakers, which is a failure for animation. That's a very visual medium.
It's a really hard thing to watch. the philosophy that I went into my list with, or rather that I found that my list was the through current was the word influence. And I feel like all of these shows are no, I'll accept one of these shows, I think, are emblematic of something. One of them just made me fucking mad because of who I am. And if you've been listening, maybe you can guess what show that is. It's not a show that we have spent an extended
Some of you are
amount of
gonna win
time.
some money.
Yeah, you might win some money. It's not a show that we've spent an extended amount of time talking about on this series, but it is a show that has come up in conversation before that I am still actively fucking butt mad about, even like years later. And God, this thing aired while I was in college. That's like
Cradle to the grave.
fucking long this decade's been. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll do you first.
Long story short, I'm doing a Critics Circle, he's doing Oscars. Or maybe I got that backwards. I'm really bad at my award show.
I don't know. I don't watch them anymore.
That is really good for your mental health. So, my fifth choice, the least shitty of the most shitty. Bread and potatoes, foundation shittiness, Conception. I'm still really impressed that it happened. Like, even as a trendy thing, because I could blame the trends themselves, but Conception, it's a market thing, but in the same way that a good ad is a market thing, that it's like a flash of an individual person's insight radiated against the landscape in its concepts.
Before you keep going, just for those who missed a really terrible show that I'm pretty sure also flew under the radar too. Do you want to share with us the basic premise of Conception?
Yes, I do. So Conception is a
because this did not make waves. It was just awful and few people, if anyone, saw it, but good. But
yeah,
also,
Conception did not make waves. It made ripples. I don't know. It was sort of a pebble skidding against the surface of the fucking isekai flood that has claimed civilization.
And spoiler alert: there's more than one isekai on both of our lists. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
shocker.
I like to consider this a podcast sort of an arc. We're carrying two of every subgenre of anime on it.
We're not gonna change the game at the very end here. It's the patterns are going to keep recurring.
Yeah, you're gonna get the whole fucking Pokedex on this one. Man, I gotta edit this episode quick so that joke makes sense to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward. So, Conception was adapted from an action RPG game, sort of a niche thing in Japan. Or maybe in Japan it's not niche. Maybe it's huge. Maybe that's why there's a Conception anime. I can't speak to that. But it stars a young man tragically born without a personality.
So sad. So depressingly common.
Who was teleported to a poorly...
So many young men have been infected by this terrible disease in anime.
He's been...
Someone should do something.
He's been teleported to a poorly animated world.
Do they have, like, their own version of Susan J. Komen Association?
Yeah, I think it's just a angry Sunrise middle manager throwing shit across the room until it hits someone in the temple. Which, I think is how most nonprofits are run anyway, so, like, I know Susan G. Komen definitely has that person.
From what I understand about nonprofits.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna throw this on the list of people that should shoot me. I remember when I worked at the fucking Center for Fiction, it was run by this human being that was as determined to channel a series of Dilbert jokes as possible. And I think she might have enjoyed Conception, because I think it's for people who suffer from a certain type of... There's an aphasia between Broca's aphasia and Werner's aphasia that just impacts your media intake and your day-to-day decision-making in a way that I think sort of forms the foundation of a Conception viewer or producer or...
We need to get back to the premise.
Okay. I'm pulling myself down to earth.
I'm going to shut up.
He is teleported to a very poorly animated world where it starts with him being teleported there with someone he's related to. They went with cousin instead of a sister because it's sort of prog rock shittiness. But I'm really slow rolling this. It's a Dragon Quest world, but he has to get, like, women that represent the Zodiac pregnant. He needs to fucking bang his way across this world, getting people pregnant. The first of which is the girl he came there with, who is related to him. And it just keeps going and happening, and I don't know, sometimes a show feels a bit like a weather event. And I would call Conception in it was a flash flood, which, is fast and it just destroys everything you have quickly. Maybe it doesn't leave as much of a memory impression other than losing everything you had. I had a really visceral reaction to Conception in the moment. Because once again, when I use that ad agency metaphor, I actually work at an ad agency.
Mm-hmm.
And so often, I don't know, I often just get stuck in my head on things on a conceptual level, just imagining the person having the idea. And Conception feels like a dark parody of that creative mode where someone said, what if he had to get every sign of the zodiac pregnant?
We can design a waifu around each one. Two for Gemini. That could be two. They could be twins.
Oh yeah,
Holy shit! I'm gonna be rich.
They hoisted him on their shoulders. They kissed him upon his mouth and said, "You are our future. You are the rock star of this company."
What I remember about watching that show, and I don't remember much because I was pretty sure we got decently wasted beforehand.
Oh yeah,
was just the annoying sexual harassment anime animal thing, dangled in front of me like so many keys. Trying to, I think its purpose. I think what it did in the show.
It exposited a lot.
It exposited a whole lot, and then in between exposition dumps, it would grope people. It was also really, really loud. And a voice kind of like this, but just imagine this in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to find it funny or charming or, a nice distraction from... I don't know. I remember it actually being my least favorite part about it. It wouldn't have been my least favorite part in another type of bad anime, right? I remember distinctly hating it because... I hated it because of what an insult to my intelligence it felt like. As though they knew that eventually anyone who watches this is going to come to their senses and realize what the fuck they are consuming. So they have, these keys that they're jingling in front of you to help distract you from it. Because apparently you're so dumb and your attention span is so short that as long as you have, an annoying sexual assailant anime animal mascot, then it'll be okay. It's funny. It's cute.
Yeah, it's a veritable fucking insult.
I hated it and I wanted to kill it. More than most annoying anime creatures. Like,
I should also point out, and I'm a human being that has seen multiple episodes of Handshakers. Episodes of Handshakers we have not discussed on this program. It may be the King fucking Kong of exposition little dialogue I have seen in my many meandering days of wandering the dark waters of the world.
Wait, this creature from Conception?
The show itself. The creature itself.
I don't know. Handshakers was pretty bad about that. This is a worse show than Handshakers, but Handshakers was, I think, a little bit worse with the exposition.
Anyway, before this becomes the Conception episode, because we totally could do it if it were more timely, I just want to say that really what marks this show is that I felt all my isekai flash back on me at once, and that's a bit like a grenade exploding in your knee. And B, it really just marks an incredible amount of low effort. It marks sort of a brilliant anti-idea, like if you want to come up with something to try to make me turn off my television as quickly as possible. Yeah. Conception.
I think for my money, Japan is always... Not Japan, I should say anime, I should say, is always fascinating in, all of the various creative ways that it comes up to objectify women, right? You've got the world that God only knows, right? Where they literally are monsters of the week, except instead of killing them, you have to get them to sleep with you. This is just Zodiac women. I don't know. I'm having a hard time articulating it, but like you get it, right? It's just...
It's pretty clear. The politics of
like
them
they've
being
been turned into pachinko prizes. No, pachinko's not the little turns.
Man, at least you need to be lucky to win pachinko.
Where you put the coin in like a coin
slot machine.
No, no, no. Like at the grocery
Oh yeah, I
store.
totally mean you put the quarter in, you turn the dial
And
to
you
the
get
right.
a little plastic toy. Like that is what this anime felt like. That's what a lot of harem genre shit feels like. But that's what this anime felt like in particular.
Gachopon gender politics. That's a thesis. That'll get you out of undergrad.
And now, Gachapon, whatever the fuck is the genre that's going to supplant isekai, in the next 3 years.
We broke something.
We need to go back.
How do we go back, Sam? How do we go back?
Oh,
I
they're
think we're
just
just here now.
exposing the business. I hope they fucking die.
I'm tired of these fucking pieces of shit. That oh shit, we know I'm supposed to be Brian last when we do this. So, what's your number 5?
Oh, we're like doing five, 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 five. Okay,
Yeah, I like it that way.
okay. My number 5. This is the one that I was referring to earlier, which is not representative of a trend or anything like that, but just made me fucking mad because I felt betrayed. It's Gundam Age, Mobile Suit Gundam Age, the 49, I think, 50 episode series. One of the full Gundam series from I think 2013 is when it aired. It might have been a little bit earlier than that. It might have been 2012 or something like that. A show that started out to some amount of side eyes from the Gundam fan community. They were not at all into the character designs, but I always like to give a show the benefit of the doubt, even if I was not myself too amazingly into the character
Yeah, the
designs.
look was a bit fluffier.
It was a little bit like just a little fluffy, a little bit looks like a Mon show. Like the character designs look like they were out of a Mon show, be it, like Pokey, Digi, Metabots, whatever.
In this show, the gimmick is that the monsters come out of pillowcases. They're called pillow monsters.
Well, as always in Gundam, the gimmick in this show is that the monsters were humankind the whole time, and that they just keep on doing this to themselves. They'll never learn. They'll just always come up with better ways of killing one another. And that's what I love about the Gundam franchise, right? It is just a show about how mankind will always find a new reason to kill one another, and B, a new fun little way to kill one another.
I always appreciated that.
Um,
Before the age bait and switch and the whole build fighters thing, I would have used that old dumbass joke people make about pizza and sex. Like even when it's bad, it's still
it's
pretty good.
But no, I mean, here's the thing. I was not around for Gundam Seed Destiny while it aired, but apparently the reaction I had to Gundam Age while it aired was the same reaction that people had to Gundam Seed Destiny. So in a word, what went wrong with Gundam Age? It was a story that was kind of uniquely formatted for a Gundam series. Instead of one main protagonist, there were 3. It took place over about 60-ish years or so. You follow, the first main protagonist as he goes from, a general, Amuro Ray style hero into, having his own, Lala student moment. And instead of it turning him into, a hardened but has a better appreciation for human life kind of character, the way they did for Amuro, it
Nope.
turns him into just this bitter villain, really, and he becomes something of an not antagonist, but definitely a villainous figure throughout most of the rest of the series. The second part, which I maintain was really, really good, and the protagonist of the second part is one of my favorite Gundam protagonists, is about his son, who does not have psychic powers. Remember, this is Gundam. There are people with psychic powers. It's a thing.
And then there are Untermenschen.
And then there's his son who does not have psychic powers and is struggling to he's struggling to reconcile what a blow to his ego this is. The way that he will never be quite as special as he wants to be. He's in the middle of this love triangle, which was, looking back, kind of a stupid plot line, and kind of hampered the
It's the kind of thing you would forgive when you assume it's going somewhere.
yeah, it didn't really go anywhere.
Oh, something Gundam Age didn't go somewhere?
No, it definitely did go somewhere. So anyway, Asimu was the Asimu. God fucking Asuno. Asem Asuno. Flit Asuno was the first one. Asem Asuno is the second one.
And now you know.
And he was cool. I liked Asem. He like even in the like, and then part three comes around, and that is Kyo Asuno, who is all the worst qualities of he's everything that Kira Yamato has been accused of being, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, the sort of like kumbaya asshole who, you know, is just sitting there in the middle of, you know, this space battle, right? Preaching, you know, nonviolence. Um, you know, watching, you know, his friends get killed instead of defending him and like defending them and like it happens like more than once or twice in the
Don't they
show.
flog people for that?
Not him, I guess. Um, they give us this asshole, right? After, you know, kind of starting off with like a bait and switch Amuro, which I thought was really clever, and then, you know, giving us, you know, his son who's, you know, struggling to find his own place and things, and I thought that he had a really good journey. And then you get to this. He's like the most annoying parts of both Kira Yamato and Relina, you know, from Wing,
Ah.
in one person, and you
If
know he's sitting there just like stinking up part three, which isn't going to great places anyway. They introduced an antagonist around halfway through part three, who is there to condemn the, you know, good guy federation that they're part of, which has been heretofore,
dun
you know,
dun
like
dun.
they're okay. I think there was a corruption scandal within it, you know, like it was exposed at the end of part two. It's just there in a ham-handed. They introduced this antagonist in this ham-handed attempt to make
Evoke meaning.
everything more gray, where they realize, oh shit, things aren't gray enough. We should introduce this antagonist who a has like a really terrible name. I think her name was Gerard Spriggan, and it sucked. And B clearly is there. You know, like if they weren't there, then there was this show don't tell error where, you know, things were not gray enough until we had this character come along to say that they were. Right, and then she dies. It's like it's very sound and fury. It signifies nothing. It takes up like 3 or 4 episodes worth of show, and I was just left wondering like, what the fuck did you waste my time for like that?
If I could hijack this one for a second before
Mm-hmm.
we work our way a bit further down these lists.
Yeah,
I always like to describe this show, in terms of its entry in the decade list, I describe the show as Sam's ex.
it
He
feels a little bit like that. Yeah.
he almost had like some good times with it, then it betrayed him on a certain level,
And
and
now I can
now
never remember the good times that we did have with anything other than like scorn and regret.
it's like this the species and intensity of the dislike is really something you can only get from something that you could have loved.
It robbed us of what would have been a really, really powerful kind of grand finale, right? Because throughout the course of this show, after, you know, the, you know, Lala Soon dead love interest moment that the first protagonist has, you know, he becomes this member of the upper echelon of the military whose, you know, ultimate goal is to absolutely destroy every last one of, you know, the antagonist faction, you know, be it military or civilians. He wants
They,
them all dead,
oh,
right?
they just go Titans.
What happens is that this does not destroy him. You know, towards the end when it looks like he wants to launch nukes or something like that, his son and his grandson, oh, the third protagonist is grandson. I don't know if I mentioned that. His son and his grandson convince him like, no, you shouldn't do that. And then the final boss, because it really does just feel like the final boss of a video game and not a very good video game, is just this fucking kid who had no lines prior, who was just the dragon kid. He was just some dude that was grown in a lab to be the final boss fight or something, I guess.
Up to this point, he's just
that the main
existed.
antagonist grew, and he was foreshadowed like 3 episodes prior as waking up from his tank. Like they literally fucking came out of nowhere to be the final boss fight
The
of this series.
Shockmaster is coming.
Who the fuck is this asshole? He fell on his ass. And
Incredible.
and his presence deprives us of what would have been, and what they were teasing to have been a fantastic, final confrontation between, the first main protagonist and, his son and grandson, who have like seen, this poison that has turned him into the person that it has, right? What if he doesn't learn his lesson? What if this cycle of revenge that this show is about? The show is about this cycle of revenge here, right? Because everyone's got this revenge-based motive for everything, and it's just causing everything to get worse. What if that destroys him? What if it's his kids who have finally broken out of this cycle who are forced to put him down? Like, that was the final confrontation that they were teasing, and that we didn't get because they wanted...
Wow, they decided to make just a show about nothing in that case. That's a rough cut.
It just... I felt so amazingly robbed by the end of it that I was just so angry. I was just so angry, Denard.
Oh, this is also probably a decent time to point out that this program did, in fact, also cheat on Sam and run his credit.
Took my money, went to Vegas.
Went to Vegas. It has his dog. It's not bad scene. Bad scene.
All right, do your number 4.
My number 4. Jesus Christ. So, I had to pick a representative, and it was originally going to be Fate Stay Night Apocrypha, the Netflix entry in this fucking series.
It's just Fate Apocrypha, the Stay Night.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fate semicolon Apocrypha.
I'm pretty sure the Stay Night has not been there for several years now.
Yeah. They're trying. You see, in the way that these shows are churned out, they actually save millions of dollars a year not having to print the word "stay" before the semicolon.
But anyway,
it's all about optimization. You see, this is a procedurally generated franchise, and I guess it's both the way that it echoes across media and is just constantly in my face at its level of badness. Like, I'm actually not super susceptible to the saturation of an individual property on its own. Like, I won't think of something as worse simply because of that. If it's like something was middling, I'd be like still saying, okay, whatever. That's just people enjoying their bread-flavored bread.
Like, what's an example of that?
An example of people loving bread-flavored bread? Let's see.
Oh, they're like sports anime out there. They get like 10 million seasons.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember how long Free went, but like I want to say more than 2 seasons.
Yeah, a lot of the sports anime I feel that way about, and I'm not deeply vested in them, and I've never run into one that is liquid hate.
Oh, Card Fight Vanguard has been around since, I want to say, the beginning of the decade, and it's still going, I'm pretty sure. They're still making seasons of that thing, and only its fans give a shit.
Wow. Cradle to the grave. But my point here is, so I wanted a representative of the Fate Stay Night's fucking veteran existence as a virtuosic polyp in my craw. And instead of Apocrypha, I chose Fate/Stay Night, semicolon, Unlimited Blade Works. For multiple reasons. One, I think it may have just sort of sucked in a more iconic way.
Really?
Like, the stream of nonsense that led to the words Unlimited Blade Works and also I am the you that is not you fucking
right,
thing
the thing with like fucking Shira and Archer. Yeah, I know that. Like that, I didn't even fucking watch it, and that's so iconically fucking stupid that I know about it just by dissemination.
It's a stream of nonsense, but also the real reason I picked Unlimited Blade Works over Apocrypha is that Unlimited Blade Works is the exact moment in this franchise where I thought, this is just going to keep fucking happening. My input means nothing. This ball is rolling ahead. It's not losing steam. People aren't losing interest. They were going to cut it off to be artful. The studio wasn't going to get another glint in their eye and chase another cash cow. It is just Fate Stay for the foreseeable fuckity future.
See, the thing with me, the reason that I would put Fate Apocrypha, I guess, over Unlimited Blade Works in this list is because of
Jack the Ripper Lolly.
one of the reasons that I'd put Fate Apocrypha over Unlimited Blade Works in this list is just this moment I had where I realized 7 or 8 episodes in, oh wait, that's not Saber. That's that's Joan of Arc, not King Arthur. Those are two different characters. I would never have noticed. Except I think I finally was paying enough attention because God, that show strained my attention.
Yeah, if you ran those two fucking 23 and me, they both would have come from the
Like,
same trash can.
she was ruler, but I realized that one character's name could change because they were a different class this time because everything must be video games or relate to video games in anime and like this and fucking isekai, and it only serves to just really suspension of disbelief something. I don't know. I'm having a hard time being eloquent about this.
I want to bring back a certain qualm of mine from the original Fate Stay series.
Why,
by
why
the
do
way,
why do I have to feel? Why did they think? And I guess they're right because people do fucking watch this and like give the money hand over fist. Why do they make people feel like they're watching someone playing a video game? I hate feeling like that.
yeah, it's you are watching someone's terrible Twitch channel. They have terrible taste. All the jokes they make on it,
And like the
hurt
Fate series
your
is that,
veins.
Isekai is that.
yeah,
The gotcha anime are now kind of like that. You're just watching a video game play out. Like, you do not, to gotcha animes or gotcha game animes credit, you aren't seeing the gamer in question anymore. But like, you are totally just seeing a video game play out in front of you.
Against all odds, this is the only Fate Stay entry on my list, which is why I want to, when it comes to Limited Blade Works and the original and Apocrypha and all that shit, I want to get at a specific bit of back padding. They don't do it too often, mercifully enough, but they've done it at least twice in my experience from the University Anime Club. Every now and again, this fucking show, I'll call them all this fucking show. Fate's a show that ran from 2007 to now, sure. This fucking show, every now and then, when they do their like Femme King Arthur or Femme Jet, everything they'll say,
Yeah.
because they were women, their true face was erased from history. You do not get to play the fucking woke card when the camera is trying to work its way up her asshole. Okay. This is not.
Don't fucking pretend that you wrote this for another demographic than the one you wrote it for. We all know who's supposed to be watching this, assholes.
I know that at least half of these character sketches have been done with one fucking hand. Sam Legault, number 4.
Number 4. This one is also a representative. It's a show that I watched when it aired, and it was bad. And it didn't make me necessarily angry, right? It didn't make me angry yet, because this is a show that had terrible influence on anime going forward. The show in question is Oreimo, which is a shortening. I cannot fucking remember what the whole name is. I don't care.
Can't believe my little sister is as cute as the full English.
Cool. So you know what happened in the wake of Oreimo? Fucking, oh Jesus, I cannot remember the name of.
It's like a snowball on top of a fucking hill.
No, what is the name of the genre? Because it's a fucking genre.
I just call
Emoto,
it sister
fucking
fuck?
Emoto.
Yeah.
Emoto, sister fucking shows. This was the beginning of the sister fuck genre. A genre that fucking exists. And I feel like I'm insane. I feel like I've gone fucking mad every time there's a new one of these. Every fucking season, there's at least 2. And they often cross over into other shit I
have
hate.
trouble just understanding that I can go outside and hear 2 fucking people at an event. This happened to me. I went to New York Anime Festival. Fun times. If you're watching, you probably even learned about it there. But I just listened to 2 human beings ask each other what their favorite sister fuck show is. And there are multiple things to compare them to with different strengths and weaknesses. Like, I don't know, I like my sister fuck with more of an action tinge, but there's also dramatic sister fuck.
And I do not know how you did not slam your fucking fist into the ground until you did not have a fucking hand anymore. Because, Jesus, I would have.
I was carrying merch, brother.
I don't even remember what Oreimo was about. It was about, I don't know, like his sister.
Oreimo,
something
she is a secret nerd girl, but more importantly, she is
That's all of them! That's the one with, like, the fucking chick who dresses up in the stupid fucking hood. I can't remember what that one was called either.
I can't remember what that one is called either. I
Yeah.
do remember it was an event in human fucking history. I remember this inspired my sister, my writer, as well. But that's a whole other can of
Like I
semi-animated
said,
worms.
terrible influence. This makes the bottom 5 not necessarily because it was itself noxiously terrible, although it was, no more so than a whole lot of other shows over the last 10 years or so. No, this is here because it started something awful.
And the
Don't fuck your
laziness
sister.
of this.
Holy shit.
The laziness
I'm
of
so fucking disgusted just having to fucking watch this thing that's, supposed to be viewed with one hand. This entire genre that's supposed to be viewed with one hand that exists because there's this horrible market for it. And oh god, every fucking day with fucking anime, I feel like I'm turning more and more into fucking Tipper Gore. Honest to God.
Yeah,
I do like anime, guys. I really do. I do. It is it's one of my great joys is watching good anime. But there's so much shit anime.
Laura Bush / Jack Thompson comes to the forefront. I have a second impulse at the same fucking time, which is just I compare the sort of trend of things. And when did our fetishistic aspirations sink so low? It used to be this guy is a CEO in high school. Can he get it together quickly enough to bang these 3 other CEOs? And now it's this motherfucker who won't even leave his goddamn house, so he has to lust after his goddamn sister.
I guess they know their audience, I guess.
They know their audience. I hope they don't fucking know their audience. If they know their audience, then maybe we just have to kill ourselves.
It's always on my mind.
Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say to people with different opinions than me on media is to keep yourself safe.
What's your number 3?
So, my number 3, and this is like one of those Hollywood Western fucking quick draw. It's Sword Art Online. It's Sword Art Online.
I'm gonna stay quiet.
Now, I'm not sure that Sword Art Online necessarily represents the same sin to Sam that it does to me. But it's not so much the echoes out of Sword Art Online that sort of make my eye twitch, because I don't know, maybe I'm one of those like trends and forces kinds of people, and I think that maybe something like Isekai would have eventually come out of this many young men with this little hope. But I think it's Sword Art Online's relationship with the past, because it condensed a lot of the old bullshit into a new condensed form that could then propagate itself. It brought in a unique stream of Mary Sue protagonists. It pretty much stole Dot Hack Sign's fucking lunch. Okay, I need to get off my fucking shit. It wasn't even the first show to do this fucking it's a video game bullshit, but it just codified it in such a lame, proto-mimetic way that is why we have so much of this ass now. But beyond all that, beyond all the trends and market forces and things, I don't know, I think stories are about characters that change and do things. And Sword Art Online does the fucking opposite of that shit with such aplomb and grace that Sword Art Online is like the president of the United States. He is what I call, I'm going to get us canceled, our president is what I call the retard whisperer. Because he has such a unique ability to speak moron. And Sword Art Online spoke such virtuosic moron that you have people speaking to her like, hey man, there's this guy, he's just like us, but he's really making it, and this is a cool show. It's like a little power fan. Just turn your brain off, enjoy it. Have fun with the trash. Hey, sometimes there's fun trash. There's fun action trash. And sometimes the trash has little needles on it. And sometimes those needles come from rehab clinics. And those aren't necessarily the needles you want sticking out of your arm.
It is junk. It can be food. It is not junk food.
And sometimes, you pass those conditions you got from the junk onto others.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, Kirito is psychic herpes. I pass the rock to Sam.
Number 3 is a show that I immensely enjoyed watching. So this is one of those. It's a show, and I feel like I've used this particular metaphor in the past that I love. It's a show that I love, like a high school bully loves the kid who is 14 years old and still owns a Digimon backpack. I love this show like that.
Change into digital champions.
This show is Sarah from the fucking Ant.
Oh,
Which I had no end of fun with. It's so fucking, it's all seven sins in one, right? And I could go down the list, but it's lazy, right? It does absolutely nothing new. It's envious, right? It wants to be Attack on Titan. It
wants it so bad.
It's lustful, right? It has, like sort of lazily designed waifus, and I don't know, that one's less so than it is envious and lazy. It's you can actually quantify all seven sins with it. It's prideful because it thinks you won't notice. It's it's greedy because of what a fucking transparent cash grab it was in the wake of Attack on Titan.
Oh man, someone really wanted to fucking retire. Someone was just tired of being a fucking mangaka.
I've got envy, I've got proud, I've got greed, I've got sloth, I've kind of got lust. Gluttony. It is fucking the genre eating itself. It is the medium rather eating itself. It has eaten so many fucking other genres, right? So many other shows, and sort of absorbed it into itself, not seamlessly, I should say. Oh no, all of the moving parts are so very visible. The Emperor is not the Emperor's new clothes are invisible. They are not actually clothes. You can see his junk. You can see the Emperor's dick. What's the final sin, Denard?
Let's see. So you hit pride.
I hit pride. I hit
did gluttony.
Gluttony, sloth,
wrath. You haven't done wrath.
Wrath.
I mean, it's a shitty action show.
It's a really shitty action show. There we go.
Just real basic.
We have run down the list.
Just
here.
bad punchies.
Bad punchies. It seems to be trying to sell itself on it having, like decent fight choreography, set pieces. No, it looks cheap as fuck. It looks so bad. Everything about this show just looks so goddamn bargain bin. And like it was funded with the change the animators found in their fucking couches from their homes.
With my remaining two, one, the action was decently animated, the other one, it wasn't an action show. So I'm going to use this little line here because it's sort of in the back of my head and I have to apply it somewhere.
Okay.
It actually does apply specifically to it because I remember the scene that made me think of this.
Okay.
There was a scene in the first 3 episodes of fucking Seraph of the End wherein Snark Girl fucking whips out her scythe and spins her giant person-sized scythe around her in a way that's supposed to be impressive and cool and sweet and awesome in all the ways that Neo dodging a bullet is or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't help but be reminded of a time I went to Atlantic City. And because I was in Atlantic City, I saw a heavily scarred overweight stripper. And this was supposed to be scintillating me in a way. No. And the reason this metaphor is that I'm once again an action junkie. So I like action. I like even over the plate action. I get something out of I give action shows a lot of leeway. There's some score inflation. I'm pretty sure every show in my top 5 involves violence. So I want you to understand how much this show failed.
Oh shit! Only 2 of the in my
Sam
involve violence in any way. That's surprising.
You see, Sam needs to feel. I need someone to feel.
Oh wait, hold on. One of them involves violence, but it's a different kind of violence.
And how?
We'll get there.
So I just wanted to add that little punctuation. But back to you if you have anything else on this one.
No, I just kind of felt like roasting this thing a little bit. I ran down the 7 sins. It's a really terrible show. It looks bad. The characters aren't interesting. They're all rip-offs of other characters. The plot is a rip-off of other plots. The setting is... No, there's nothing unique about the setting. It's a remix of 12 other things that were more interesting. I think...
Man, I felt a real hankering for some AOT when I was watching that
honest
fucking
to
show.
Fucking God. You know what it felt like the most a ripoff of was the Gray Man out of anything. I don't know if that's correct, but I feel like it is. Number 2. What's your number 2?
My number 2, and this is gonna be a chop and screwed remix of some emotional themes, but not the same program as some other shit Sam was talking about. Darling in the Fran XXXX,
Ooh.
or however the bloody stump fuck you are supposed to pronounce that shit. Now,
Franks.
I'm sure I have seen many
Darling
shows
in the
that
Franks.
if you were to go for second by second, element by element shittiness, are probably worse. But to do the fucking incredible Evil Knievel nosedive into a crevasse that this show did from seeming like it was headed somewhere to the kind of failure that we reached was incredible. Almost
So
transcendent.
this is your Gundam age.
This is my
This
Gundam
is your
age.
Gundam age.
Only like the show's a lot shorter and it's really like hyped up and focused on sexual stuff. So maybe instead of like an ex-girlfriend, it's like someone I shacked up with for 2 weeks who then stole my kidney.
Okay, yeah.
So
The metaphor tracks.
it's the metaphor track. So once again, one time I went to Atlantic City, I saw this heavily scarred overweight strip. We're getting canceled. I can't believe it. It's the first episode of season fucking 2, and I'm just coming back in with this shit.
No, it's bad form to joke about it.
Fair. For those of you who don't have the Wikipedia entry for the fucking Hindenburg, this show was a partnership, a creative co-effort between Studio Trigger, who have done some great animation work in the past, some not so great animation work in the past. I probably should have known there was a chance this would fucking happen. And a studio whose name I've forgotten because all they have ever done is fail me. This show was basically... It was like Never Let Me Go with robots.
Okay.
And that can totally work.
It should have worked.
It was working for a while. I thought it could have continued working.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended with a giant version of the main girl screaming about how much she loves the main character and how love will save us all.
It felt very...
And it
It felt very much like they were trying to... Like, they ran out of ideas, which I don't even know how that happened, because it was a pretty interesting, original premise. They could have gone anywhere with it, and where they went was both Evangelion and Gurren Lagann, like, really, really fucking transparently.
Oh man, have you ever... It's like being your own goddamn cover band. It's so fucking sad to see someone stuck in that kind of rut. You could tell that they just wish they could just cram Lord Genome in there and go home.
I don't know what it was. Was it supposed to be like a meta commentary on the past ventures of these particular people? I don't get it. I don't get why they did it. It's like...
Also,
it was like, no, you know what it was like? It was like watching like an honors student. It was like watching an honors student get arrested for graffiti and fuck up their life forever.
my
somehow.
graffiti name is Turtle Zero.
No, but I shouldn't even do that, because like graffiti is and can be a legitimate art form. Arrested for, I don't know, selling smack to grade schoolers. There we go. Yeah. It's that honor student sold smack to grade schoolers. Their life is over now. All the promise that they had is, kaput. It is nil. And Darling in the Franks is a drug dealer to children.
You know
Thank
they
you
call
for coming
cocaine
to
in
my
middle
TED
school?
Talk. What did they call it?
Adderall.
Do you see what this says about society? Let that sink in.
It also gets hits you because everything is doled out relatively well, like a story when it goes. Maybe I can understand the emotion that Lost people had. Only I will point out that there are a lot more episodes of Lost that do not suck than there are episodes of Darling in the Franxx that do not suck, because it's about the last, I don't want to say quarter.
We would need to do some division here.
So if the last, like, I don't know, it was a core, right?
It was 26 episodes, I think.
26 episodes. I want to say it starts vomiting its mouth around episode 20, 18, 20.
Oh, it took a while to get there.
Dude.
They could have stuck the landing. They had less than 10 episodes left. They could have come up with any other ending.
Okay, so I know I do a lot of the jokey ego thing on this fucking show, right?
I'm gonna make it's the fucking, you can see the Emperor's dick again. I have to make the joke twice. They had nothing.
I know I do the jokey ego thing, right? But in my day-to-day life, I actually just try not to take myself that seriously.
Yeah,
I, I,
same. It's like
I tend to be relatively even
it's
keel,
a
even
recipe for anxiety. Really, it's
yeah.
taking yourself too seriously.
So watching this show shit itself is one of the few times in a non-comedic context that I've become legitimately ass pained at a media property. Like this was my fucking national Pokedex moment. People seem mad about that. I don't really get it, but that's my vector.
It happened to me like twice in the same year. I'm fairly certain that Gundam Age was airing around the same time that Korra was shitting itself.
Woof. Okay, that's gonna get its own fucking episodes. If yeah,
Yeah, I mean, is Korra an anime? Yes and no. It didn't make the list because I wasn't gonna have a hot take entry.
you
But
weren't going to have a take on it that lasted less than a fucking hour. I can tell you that shit.
yeah, that's the other thing. That was just gonna be the episode. Hey, here's the thing. Neither of us liked Korra very much.
Oh no, I kind of like those Russian car crash videos.
The dash cam bit where the passenger gets hit with a fucking freaking dies, and then you have to listen to the fucking driver's wail
My favorites are
of
the ones where
horror and grief as his wife lies dying in the car beside him. That's what.
my favorite ones are the ones where you can see the driver try to make a getaway. Like these dash cams are making just like a low rent surveillance state. That's a good description of modern Russia. Low rent surveillance state. Moving forward, your next number.
Number 2, MILF Isekai. What have I to say? We went over this already. It was. Oh yeah, the argument was that Korra was a car crash. No, MILF Isekai was a fucking car crash.
I would I would say
I think what I hated the most about MILF Isekai, and no, I'm not calling it by the title it's supposed to be. Fuck that. Fuck you for wanting me to do that.
I don't even have it in English.
What I hated the most about MILF Isekai is that I felt the entire time I was watching it, it was fucking elbowing me in the ribs, being like, get it? It had this smarmy, smirky sort of sense of self-reference to it, that permeated every fucking horrible goddamn joke. Like, it was expecting me to be, like, it's just so fucking, it's so audacious, all this whole thing is so egregious. How can I not, I can't, like, actually, no, he constantly tried. And the author is a he. I don't even have to look that up. Tried to make this fucking criticism proof by having it be so fucking transparently disgusting and awful.
Reminds me of a fucking the way Deadpool run. But we've talked enough about Deadpool on this fucking show. We're for Weeaboo Hell. When it comes to this show, I'm reminded there are sort of 3 species of class clown in your high school, middle school context, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the guy who's just sort of either generally funny or slightly funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of a wit with, I don't know, poor impulse control. You have your just pretty much just a school bully with an audience. That would call it the second species.
We had plenty of those in our high school.
Just really just there to dunk on some self-esteems. And then you have the guy who's using this half-formed humor and is just desperate to be loved. He wants your love. He wants your attention. This show is trying to pander to you.
One joke and will not stop fucking telling it.
And it's just repeating that joke. It wants you to believe this shit is hilarious, or at least not punish it for not being hilarious. Like, hey, here's a fun little joke. You guys are in on it, eh? You understand we're doing some ironic mom fuck show.
Like I said, the proverbial, elbowing me in the ribs, Arthur Nudge
and
show.
The moment where I realized this show's fucking comedic instincts were dead.
Mm-hmm.
This is an episode you haven't seen, but this is a gag.
I think I got 3 in.
Yeah, the shape of this fucking gag is they meet someone's shitty MILF mom who they also want the fuck out of. And she is a overindulgent bad party mom. Mm-hmm. So she's like built up her like this like nude man harem that forms a chair that she sits on. I'm going somewhere with this. This isn't the part that's bad about this. It's almost like a Galaxy Brain fucking formalist thing. But
we're recording this at your apartment, so I'm not sitting against the wall, so I can't fucking ram my head into it.
Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Do you want me to hand you like a book or something, or are you
I've
just
got a
good?
book right here. It's fine. I can make my own luck. Go ahead.
And the thing that struck me is these guys, and they're not really animated, are in the background of every shot with her in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the basic humor thing, like the basic comedic writing is like, oh my god, this is a chair made of people. What lines are they going to have to say in this comedy? They don't say a fucking word. Not a good joke, not a bad joke. They didn't even try. They didn't even think of it, and it's right there.
They thought of half a joke, really.
They thought of half a joke, and I guess before you get to the politics, the sexual failure, the fucking copy paste isekai thing, it's just really a failed comedy. Like deep down, MILF Isekai is white chicks.
Unpack that.
White chicks is much like the day the laughter died too. Just one of those moments where comedy fell into itself and it died, and we had to watch it flop on screen for. I say it was an hour 20. It wasn't. I don't think it was a long movie.
I think if you're stabbed in the gut, it takes about that much time to die. So, like, yeah.
And I think MILF Isekai is cut from a similar cloth of a comedic talent. Only no one in MILF Isekai ever made in living color.
You're gonna have a hell of a time editing this episode. You're going all over the fucking place.
I'll die eventually. Or I'm probably just going to use fucking EQ or whatever and call it a day. But
Okay.
I mean, this is a very judiciously edited podcast that compensates for my use of a swivel chair.
I think they think that I'm going to forgive this show of all of its lazy writing and boring character designs and shitty premise and the fact it's another fucking isekai because waifus or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a recurring thing for me. Like, I bring up a whole lot about how angry I get when a show does that. When a show is like, come on, man. This is this season's hottest waifus.
Come on,
Don't
just
you
here
want
for a
these
little eye
hottest
candy.
waifus? You want these hottest waifus? You want to post them on our animes, or you want to go on you want to go talk about your waifus on your waifu forums? This is who you're just like. No, fuck you, God.
I
And like,
remember.
I'm like, I'm so inarticulately angry right now that it'll make me seem like I'm in denial here, but no,
I mean, it'd be hard for you to be in fucking denial of something your whole aloes are added again perspective. I don't even think it's physically possible to be in the market for this fucker.
No, it's why I'm so fucking immune to so many of the fucking dirty tricks that anime tends to pull. So it actually has to be good for me to like it. Because honest to fucking God,
Ew.
when an anime is shitty, the first fucking trick they will pull is put a fucking waifu in there. Put someone that you can watch one-handed.
Some real Dead or Alive 4 physics abound this one. I fucking loved playing Ryu in that thing. Just
I like the drunk
it's
guy.
it's like having Kratos in the middle of like a fucking runway show.
Or actually, no, he was right at home in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
I like the drunk guy. He was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. He was fun. I remember the game had counters for counters, which is something everything should endeavor
it's very
to.
Team Ninja.
It is very Team Ninja. I'm trying to avoid talking about this next show. I don't know how I didn't end up doing an episode about this. I think maybe I was tired of how much I had ended up talking about it in real life.
Mm-hmm.
The shittiness of a show is almost like this sine curve in terms of endorphins. There are points where things are just bad and I stop being able to get anything out of the experience of having seen them.
Mm-hmm.
And there are points where I'm bad and laughing and it sort of vibrates along the spectrum depending on the sheer degree, but all this is a really long-winded way of me saying that the laughter that I got from Aromanga Sensei's genre of terrible enriched my soul. I'm not going to call the obvious pedophiles that made Aromanga Sensei bad people. Instead of acting on their genre interest of someone on Backpage, they instead chose to make this monstrosity, which is
Heroic, really.
heroic, really.
It's inspiring.
An
That they
inspiring
would
act.
sublimate their.
It's really a Mother Teresa thing that spare the children, make terrible art instead. You know what? Good job. You did. You fucking. And look, when they made MILF Isekai with the junior class of waifus there, I didn't call anyone a pedophile. Surf of the End, Handshakers, all that. I did not call anyone a pedophile. I'm not that guy. After this show, I won't call any creators pedophiles. Oremo X Arrow Manga Sensei staff. There are at least 3 legitimate pedophiles involved in the creation of this program. I should introduce this to the unacquainted. Arrow Manga Sensei.
You feel like the fucking moron describing it.
So there's this guy that writes like
Porn.
He writes
He
porn.
writes porn.
And he lives in this house alone with his Emoto. This is the end outer limits of the Emoto show, by the way.
I don't think it is because it's still happening.
Like, I was torn between like making my entire list just a straight run of the worst Emoto shows or just having the Avatar here, but I put the Last Airbender here. And he writes porn and he finds out, whoa, the entire time his innocent little sister has been this legendary porn artist. He is the Salieri to her sheer hornitude. And he meets the rest of the entire erotic fan fiction whatever community.
They're all waifus.
They're all waifus.
Of them, literally to a
They're all
fucking
waifus,
man.
but I can't legitimately call this a harem show because he only has eyes for fucking his sister.
I mean, Keitaro Urashima only ever wanted Naru Sagawa, and Love Hina was a harem show. So I think it still counts.
It still counts. And I don't know, Arrow Manga Sensei is a moment of history. And you know what? I'm gonna run down my list. I do not recommend you watch Conception. I do not recommend you watch Fate Stay Night. I do not recommend you watch Sword Art Online. I do not recommend you watch Darling in the Franxx. But if your neighbors can't see into your apartment and you want to laugh and look at the world become, fucking watch Arrow Manga Sensei. Fucking, when you're done with this episode, go watch Arrow Manga Sensei. It will lighten your mood. You'll walk a little kick in your step knowing, man, I'm not one of the pedophiles that made Arrow Manga Sensei. Okay. So now that I've committed fucking libel and several men who hopefully are not bilingual and therefore will not hear this program. Let's move on to your number 1.
Before I get there, I want to give the list of dishonorable mentions. This is all of the anime I really fucking hated over the course of the last 10 years. Let me turn over my page here. The shit from my bottom 5 list, because this is the master list here. The shit from the bottom 5 list might actually show up once or twice. Okay.
Oh yeah, feel free to let us know if you think one of these is an awards snub, like they're gonna pull a Kanye West.
If it feels like something was way the fuck shittier than something I included on the actual list, let me know. Gundam Age was very much a personal choice for me. But here we go. Fairy Tail, Monster Musume, The 7 Deadly Sins, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Mage, The World God Only Knows, Excel World, To Love Ru, Gundam Build Fighters, I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying, Space Dandy, because it made me feel so fucking disappointed, Noragami, Fate, just everything Fate. We've been over this.
I couldn't resist. I needed to fucking the Fate thing. It's like a gravity well.
Working, Isekai Quartet, Azure Lane, In Another World with My Smartphone, Black Clover, The Junji Ito Collection, Darling in the Franxx, Concept. Okay, yeah, now we've been over that. Those were all of my least favorite anime of the last decade. No more so than our number 1 spot. It's come up tonight before. It is Sword Art Online. You guessed right, everyone. I fucking hate this anime more than I hate so many other things in this world. It is both emblematic of something fucking terrible in the industry and the starting point of something even worse, which is the isekai genre. It didn't fucking exist before Sword Art Online. And Denard, Denard took another standpoint on this. He was talking about everything that it distilled into itself to become as awful as it is. All of that is true. I'm still angrier at what it begat. I'm still angrier at everything it took. Everything about the dark reflection of Japanese culture that it is, and how people fucking loved it, and how it spawned an entire fucking movement that is based upon the prophetization of human loneliness. And I've been over this before.
They're
this
fucking
is not a new
Camel cigarettes. It's fucking incredible.
It was the beginning of this genre that has been trying to convince, young lonely Japanese men for the decade now, for 10 years now, that it is heroic of you to stay in your room and play video games and not experience life. That your social anxiety is something to be applauded. Nay, it is a heroic quality. Now, I am a sufferer of social anxiety, and I do not want to be mistaken for being, ableist here. What I'm saying is that its thesis is that it is heroic for you not to seek help, but to stew in your fantasies. It is heroic of you to not talk to people. It is heroic of you to not seek help. It is heroic of you to play video games. It makes me so fucking angry. Everything that Sword Art Online stands for, and everything that it has created. This. Okay, I'm coming back down.
Oh yeah, you can see he's currently a shade of red, somewhere between I'd say a beet and a honey apple.
Everything else on this list was just bad. And, if it was the culmination of anything, it was just, a bunch of fucking idiot creators copying one another. And for some reason, people watched it. This is far more insidious, I feel. Isekai as a genre is a far more insidious force than even fucking Emoto is. That's why Sword Art Online, before I get even angrier, that's why Sword Art Online occupies the number one spot on the worst of the last decade. It created something terrible that won't go away.
Man, the HPV of shows.
So now...
Oh, and by the way, when it comes to my Arrow Manga Sensei entry earlier, I'm gonna leave his rant as it is because I feel like it's a little gem. Some of you might say, why Arrow Manga Sensei over My Sister, My Writer, a poorly animated version of Arrow Manga Sensei? There is a certain Ed Woodian tier of shit that you can only reach when you try. And I think that Arrow Manga Sensei got there.
Yeah, My Sister, My Writer is it. I think the first adjective that I had used to describe it is lazy.